Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord.
So, it is May 8th, Mother's Day, and I just got kicked out of church for believing differently than they do. I even said that I wouldn't say anything, that I would keep my mouth closed, and the fact that I'm thinking differently than them means that I'm not welcome there, and they actually escorted me out. So they think that I'm possessed by an evil spirit that is making me say these things and do these things, and so thus they would classify me as a sinner, and because of that they don't want me in their church. I told them, I went like this: I'll keep my mouth shut and I won't say a word. And I told them I was there to learn, because I'm not familiar with Jesus's teachings, not familiar enough, and that I had come to learn if they were anything like the teachings that have come through me. And I'm not welcome to do that. They did say that they would take that under review. They were very bothered by the fact that I said that I would kill or die to complete my mission. And I guess Pastor Trevor took that as a threat. So that was a very sad misunderstanding, and I said, you do realize Christians are dying for Christianity all the way around the world, all day and all night. And that's what I'm saying, is that I will die for this. And that I will go to war for it. I explained that's what I meant by that. And so they might let me back in, but the thing is that they said they are going to look at my blog and my videos. I hope they're at least curious enough about the crazy satanically possessed woman that they do look at the videos and look at the blog. And so they said that they would do that, and then they would decide if they were going to let me back in to learn. But I'm guessing that after I post this video, which God is leading me to post, that I'm not going to be welcome there. Absolutely fascinating, since the sermon was on the sermon was on how they wanted to be a church that was inclusive to the sinner, to the one that is rejected by everyone else. That's actually what the sermon was about, the prodigal son. And it was pointing out that the elder son is the Christian. Well, they were saying the old church law, the Pharisees and the priests, and the story was all about how they think they're serving God and they're not, and they're rejecting the sinner when they should be reaching out and including them. That's what the sermon was about. I shit you not. And right after it was finished, and I fell at their feet. I fell at their feet on my knees, crying and shaking and asking for their help. And they, of course, think that I'm a sinner, which I expected that, of course. That's what they thought of Jesus. They said, this is the work of the devil. And then they crucified him for it. So after I fell at their feet, on my knees, shaking and sobbing, asking for their help, they said that because I think differently than they do, I'm not welcome there. Even though they could see I begged for their help. I literally begged, please, please, please help me. And they kept wanting me to say that I wasn't the Messiah, and I can't lie, so I can't say that, but I will keep my mouth shut and think my own thoughts, thank you very much. But that's not good enough for them. I can't even think it. If I even think thoughts other than theirs, I'm not welcome in that church. They said they'd pray for me elsewhere. I'm just wondering what it is that is so threatening about my presence if I keep my mouth shut. Yeah. Whew. That is a mind blower. And this is what I was, it was my worst fear that, I would get involved with these churches and I would be not saying anything, and then they would find out on their own without any explanation from me, and then they would crucify me. And I was terrified of that. And so this way is better. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. But then that's also because I had formed no relationships with these people. And having them reject me isn't as painful. But who knows, they may out me to my other church as well, and then the same thing may happen there, and then I may have no church. I may have nowhere that I am welcome to come if I think differently than they do. Wouldn't that be something, huh? So, yeah. That's how the Vineyard Christian Church makes the invisible God visible. They kick the sinner out the door. And they say, if you even think differently than we do, you're not welcome here. I'm thinking they're not going to save a lot of heavy, dirty souls that way. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the kind of people that hang out on Twitter actually aren't welcome there at all. I'm thinking that the millions of light workers who think they are God also, and who study astrology, and I believe it was even implied that my gayness was part of my evilness, aren't welcome. That's what I'm thinking. And so that church isn't going to save those souls. That church isn't going to reach them. It's going to kick them out, literally escort them out the door. If you think differently than us, get out. Get out. We can't even finish praying for you here. Get out. Get the fuck out on the sidewalk. You are not welcome here. Go learn about Jesus somewhere else. You can learn about it online. That's what they said. I learned about it online. I said, I've been alone for 2 years. We know. We saw the blog. Okay. I was looking for actual human beings that might teach me about Jesus. But they're not here. And Vineyard Church, don't worry. I don't want to come back. I'm going to go home and I'll probably study the materials on Jesus that I got from the lobby and find another way to learn about Jesus other than the Christian church, because they don't like sinners there. Even the most progressive, come as you are, make the invisible God visible church does not want the sinner to come in the door. And if you come in the door with thoughts other than the ones they have, they will escort you right back out. They actually called the police. There was an actual scary looking cop guy because I had said I would kill or die for this mission. So I made it very clear that I'm not going to harm anyone. I can't. I'm not here to harm anyone. My name's Satina, for those of you who might be watching this video. It means the truth. And they don't want it in their church. So I've been kicked out, and I have to find something else to do. I could go to Cathedral of the Rockies, But I'm really turned off on church right now. And I think Loretta, who is a psychic that works for the church, was right, and maybe I have to learn about Jesus somewhere else. And yesterday when I took my cousin to the Experience Church, it was a beautiful experience. Everybody welcomed me there and remembered my name and embraced me, and was very happy to meet my cousin. And it was just what my cousin needed. I keep making sure I don't say her name because I don't want to violate her privacy. But she comes from a place where the churches are all polished and big and perfect and things. And she said this was just so beautiful and so real and so homespun and so, she said they have the gift of hospitality. And my cousin is the most beautiful and pure Christian I have ever known. And I trust her judgment on what a good church is and what they have to offer. So, and then I have offered to be a volunteer, of course, with Pledge Drive for Kitsy. And I don't know if they find out the thoughts that are going through my head, these evil thoughts. They probably won't even want me to answer their phones. So I'm scared again, I guess. At first they invited me to their soaking prayer on Monday nights, and in fact the psychic said that she was seeing that I needed to come to that for a month, every Monday for a month, and immerse myself in these prayers. And it's interesting, soaking prayers. I'd never heard of such a thing. Last night my cousin gave me a CD of soaking prayers. So since I'm no longer welcome in the church, I'll use those all by myself, just me and God as usual, because Christ's church doesn't want anything to do with saving heavy, dirty souls. They only want the clean ones. They only want people who are willing to lie and tell them what they want to hear. They said, "Oh, we don't want you to do that." And I said, "Well, then what do you want me to say?" And we don't want you to just say something to placate us. And I said, "Well, then I won't say anything at all." Even that wasn't good enough. If I'm thinking my own thoughts, I'm not welcome in that church. It's not what I was expecting. I expected them to think I was a sinner and possessed by the devil. Everybody always has. Satana, right hand of Satan. There's my nickname if you'd like to have one, Vineyard people. Pastor Trevor. Satana. I've been called that since I was a child. I expected them to think I was a sinner, but I expected them to see that I was in desperate need of help, and to simply agree to allow me to learn and to continue to pray for my soul. And they're not willing to do that. People who have divergent thoughts are too big of a threat, even if they don't voice those thoughts. I am sitting here stunned. I'm chewing a piece of gum. Throughout the songs especially, I cried. I just wept. Because, you know why. And the woman sitting next to me said, "The sound of your breaking heart is beautiful." And she took my hand in hers, and then she offered me a piece of gum. So I took it, and it was beautiful, offered from her heart. So even though I don't chew anything but natural gum, because they're full of the artificial sweeteners, it was a beautiful gift given straight from the heart, and I am chewing it gratefully as a blessed offering from someone's heart. But I'm sitting here shocked. Of course we knew the hypocrisy of the Christian church. I've talked about it. And I've talked about how these new churches that God has sent me to were showing me something different. Guess what? No. There's nothing different here. You know what there is here? Makeup and perfume on a dead corpse. And that does not bring life. But it looks good to those who have no divergent thoughts. It looks like a really great place to hang out. Okay, wow. Happy Mother's Day. These holidays really blow. I did want to add that when I would say something that they didn't like, they would interrupt me, talk over the top of me, and get in my face like this and become hostile and talk to me like this. You do know, Satina, that you are not the Messiah. And I was not, of course, talking to them in any tone even close to that, as I'm sitting there being the Messiah. Because the Messiah doesn't talk to people like that. Christ doesn't talk to people like that. They scared me. They several of them got in my face like that, intimidating and hostile and threatening. And of course they flat out called the police, and they did that out of fear, out of some misunderstanding of what I said. That's extremely sad and misguided, but yeah, they also were actually in my face, and they kind of pointed and stabbed at me with their hands, and leaned in, and it was really unchristlike and uncomfortable. And they probably think they were, I don't know, attacking the spirit of evil inside me. But I wasn't coming back at them with any kind of hostility. And I believe it was even in the sermon that the condemnation is not going to save any souls. I believe, yeah, that was in the sermon. I'm going to have to go watch that sermon, and maybe we'll just analyze it bit by bit by bit. Oh yeah, and he called in all these other people, so there's like 5 people or something that know of me. I haven't looked at my materials, but they're judging me anyway. Really interesting. Really, really, really interesting. So, condemnation isn't going to save any souls, Pastor Trevor. I believe a very wise man said that at church. Getting in somebody's face and yelling at them, being hostile, and then kicking them out of your church, that's not going to save any souls either. Idaho, hello! I had forgotten how wonderfully, shockingly close-minded you could be, even in something like this. Even in a place that is supposed to be about embracing the sinner. Even in a sermon that was all about embracing the sinner. That's just so... I can't even get over that. You'll have to watch the sermon. And then consider what they just did to me. Whether I'm the Messiah or not, even if I'm just a sinner, even if I'm a misguided, satanically possessed crazy woman, is that what Jesus would have done? To a misguided, satanically possessed crazy woman? Said, get out of my church. We don't want you here. Is that what he would have done? Because, I don't know enough about Jesus, and maybe if that's what he was like, you're right. If that's what he was like, if you guys are modeling Jesus' behavior, you're right. I'm not that Jesus. I'm not that Jesus. You are 100% absolutely right on that. I am not that Jesus. And you can have that Jesus. And you can be that Jesus. I'll be this Jesus. I'm also curious if they do think that I'm such a threat because I think differently than them, and they do maybe contact my other church, because I told them that I was going to the other church too, that was affiliated with kids. They didn't know about it. And when I said, oh, Seventh-day Adventist, I could tell they was like, different kind of church. Yeah. I was like, oh, you can't really tell. They're just beautiful, loving people. Well, that's good. Anyway, I guess, if they do expose me to those other churches, then God's will be done. But I think that since I have come out to this church, and several people now have said they're going to continue to look over my blog and pray for me, I don't have to come out anymore. So at least I don't have to worry about telling anyone. I can find another church where they're actually teaching about Jesus and keep my mouth shut and learn about Jesus. And unless they out me, I won't out myself. I didn't want to anyway. I didn't want to. I guess Pastor Trevor's afraid of losing that stage. We don't want no false prophet in here preaching some New Testament. I'm like, I'm not here to preach. I'm here to learn and to be supported in the hardest thing any human being's ever done, practically. That's what I was here for. I wasn't here to preach or teach. Well, it seems I am here to teach. But I'm not going to come in their doors and do it. No way. I don't go where I'm not welcome. I have no wish to be crucified again. It does make me never want to go to another church. Ever. And of course that's what they would like, because they don't want me going in there and thinking I'm being worshipped. Oh, that really bothered them. And of course, I mean, I said it to Pastor Trevor, I'm not here to get anybody to kneel to me. I'm here to get people to kneel with me. But I'm not joining these churches to teach. No, I don't want to do that at all. I have a church. It's called The River. It's on Twitter. And that's my church. And so I suffer not a woman to speak in church. I think it says that somewhere in that good old Bible. And they mean it. They mean that. They don't mean you're welcome here. They don't mean we really want to know Jesus. They don't mean come as you are. They don't mean all sinners are welcome. They don't mean any of that. But they do mean suffer not a woman to speak in church. They mean that one. They do mean that one. They'll escort you right out to the sidewalk. So, okay, that's enough. I think I will subtitle this particular video, Jesus Save Me from Your Followers. Because, wow, the Christian church is fucked up. That was very anticlimactic.